hi Surya, thanks for joining us today. And just to get started with, can you just share a bit about the inception of the Creador Foundation and what are all these initiatives that the foundation is currently working in?
Yep. Thank you, Deepak, for the interview. So I'm Surya. First, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Surya. I currently work as a vice president for Creador Foundation, and I've been with this organization for the past 4.5, close to 5 years now. So Creador Foundation was first established in 2018 as a trust in Malaysia. The trustees, Mr. Brahmal Vasudevan and Ms. Shanti, had the idea of giving back to the community. So our vision is to actually empower local communities so that they can drive sustainable transformation change. And the idea was to fill in the huge gap existing in the financial education space, especially in Malaysia and later on in India as well. So they thought we should create a digital first financial education model. Hence the idea of Multiply came up. To Multiply Malaysia, 2 years to build, maybe between 2018 to 2020. And when it was launched, it was successful in the sense it got around 600,000 users in the first year itself. And having seen that it's been really doing well, the trustees thought that we should expand it to India as well. And in 2021, we thought of started working on Multiply India. So that's how the inception of foundation and Multiply in Malaysia.
Great. And talking about the initiative Multiply, so it focuses primarily on micro women entrepreneurs. And specifically in that category, financial education is what is being focused on and primed about for these women. What was the thought behind that? Because again, these are very small micro entrepreneurs. Such education interventions have been done before. So the second layer to the question is how is Multiply then different from what's already been done?
Yeah. So for that, again, I would go back to the backstory, right? So when we were setting up Multiply in India, like how identifying whom we should target, did sort of secondary research and also some primary research to understand the needs of the people. Because one thing we always recognized and understood was financial education as a subject, as a standalone topic might not fly well because from the experiences of other nonprofits, they either do it as part of financial inclusion or they do it as part of the livelihoods programs. But one gap we found was a lot of current existing programs were more on ground with not much digital resources. So our play was working at an ecosystem level, right? We create digital resources that are accessible and available for target audience anytime, anywhere they would like to use it. And hence we thought of creating the Multiply India platform. And the most important thing is more than talking about the basic concepts, our idea was to provide current relevant information because that's again a big gap which we understood when we did our secondary and primary research that a lot of people know about savings, a lot of people know about that they should invest, etc. But they might not be aware about the latest scams. They might not be aware about the latest government schemes that they can benefit from, or any latest happenings. By the time it trickles down to them, it's already there is a huge time lag. So through Multiply, what we wanted to do was give them information as quickly as possible so that they can benefit from it. That's how we've sort of evolved. With regards to identifying the target audience, we always knew that a one size fits all approach doesn't work. Right? You can't create financial education content for everyone. It varies depending on the different stages of life, the kind of profession you're into, or maybe even the gender, right, in India. And hence we thought of, providing it to the most vulnerable group. And in my experience of working in the social impact space for more than a decade now as well, when we are able to empower or provide financial education to women, it not only transforms their life, but transforms their families, how they sort of progress out of poverty, and also creates an impact in the society, right? So, and the numbers also showcase that there is a huge need for providing financial education to women. Around 76% of the women are not financially literate. and 62% of them are unbanked. So hence we sort of finalized, or sort of come down to the idea that we should target women between the age groups, like, young adults like 18 to 25 and even beyond. Um, and the idea is to not only talk about the current affairs, but also talk about the basic concepts as well, the personal finance content. And now, as you also rightly pointed out, we're working on providing business finance concepts to women micro entrepreneurs, so that they are able to benefit from it.
Great. And like you mentioned in the research that you figured out that there are, like I've also been through a lot of these webinars and workshops and on-ground, education interventions. That the access wasn't there because again, there's so much you can do on ground. There's so many villages, people, and beneficiaries you can reach on ground. So how has tech helped you bridge that gap? And specifically in tech, what all methods are you then using to disseminate? Because again, we're talking micro and small women entrepreneurs again in tier two, tier threes. So how has tech been supportive in that landscape for you?
Yeah. So, with respect to using tech to reaching out to our target audience, we have gone through a learning curve. We first created a web app. We hoped that our audience, women, would be interested to learn through the web app. But having tried and tested and done a lot of focus group discussions, observing how they learn, one thing was pretty clear. This was back in 2022, 3, where we realized that we should be available on platforms that are already in. You can't sort of expect them to come to a new platform to learn. So hence we started creating short, engaging videos and started posting them on YouTube and Facebook. And over the past 1.5 year, 2 years now, we've been able to get a good subscription of 800,000 users across India. Then majority of them are women. But still, there's a lot of interest from men that we can't avoid. But still a sizable number, more than half of them are women. So that's one outreach metric that we keep tracking to our social media efforts, that we're able to reach out to the right target audience. We can try different strategies to ensure that we're reaching out to the right audience. And having done that, one thing we also realized is, just social media is not giving us, let's say, the right information, whether they're liking the videos, whether they're learning from it, whether they're able to implement whatever strategies or things that they're learning. So last year we started working on using WhatsApp. That's how we came to know about Project Tech for Dev and Glyphic, where we can actually start onboarding users onto WhatsApp, create user journeys for them, and also in the process understand their behavior in terms of consuming our content, any feedback they have, what kind of upcoming needs that we can sort of address. Something that we've been working over the past year. And so far, we have around 10,000 women who have been onboarded onto our WhatsApp. Most of them are entrepreneurs across India, mostly the northern part of India, because our content is mostly in Hindi. But there are also a sizable group of women who want to start a business, and they're very interested in learning about the different strategies, or how do they get a loan, how can they set up and run a successful business. So I would say it's something that has actually helped us establish a one-to-one connection. Earlier, through the social media platforms, it was like one to many, but now we are also actually getting to meet people, getting to know what they want through Glyphic.
Yeah, and I think you're not alone in that whole trajectory of learning curve where, a lot of NGOs, the first time they think about tech is like, oh, let's create something that's customized. Let's create something that we own, we sort of, host and look after. But what they forget to realize is that there already are open source platforms, tech solutions available, which you can on top of build and leverage, like YouTube and Facebook, like you mentioned. But the issue again with them, with learning and skill based interventions, is that they become one note or just a one interface that you cannot penetrate beyond a point. They cannot be
Yes.
interaction, and that's also what you kind of pointed out at and referred to, where Glyphic then came to the rescue, because again that's a WhatsApp based chatbot. Everyone uses WhatsApp. there's more interactions that can happen. Which brings me to the next question, where having used Glyphic for so long and reached around 10,000, these women entrepreneurs to the platform. So any specific learnings from that experience of using the chatbot, or any success stories if you would want to share of how the engagement's been? Because now it's become, I would say, a one-on-one interaction where messages can be customized, flows could be created, and it becomes like a more personalized approach to spreading the financial literacy. So how's that been for you?
Amazing journey. I would say the past year, we had again learning curve within Glyphic because how women use WhatsApp is something that you will have to learn as well. So initially we had very long flows. We wanted to collect a lot of information, a lot of data, and with time we realized that the drop off is quite high. So we then started creating very smaller flows, ensuring that we are connecting with them few times a week rather than trying to get everything in one go. And also, the most important thing that we learned was the timing of when we can actually reach out to our audience. That was something which we couldn't get to know from anywhere else, right? Unless and until we were physically on ground. But the interesting thing is for women audience, especially a little later in the night, once they're done with all their work, they're done with their dinner, is when they have some time to consume some content and also engage with us, or sometime in the afternoon or early morning. So that sort of enabled us in terms of understanding when we can get their time or get their attention. That's something that was super interesting. And the second thing is also, as I mentioned, when we started sharing the videos and they started going through them, we started getting a lot of feedback in terms of we could ask them questions or we could also set up calls after, with other champions. And we started getting in detail feedback in terms of understanding what else they would want. Let's say we're talking about the sales strategies. Some of them have said that we've already tried it, but there are these practical issues. So that we might never know, being a digital first or a remote sort of implementation project. So we started getting to know the nuances or those real life challenges that actually users face, and it started informing how we create our next upcoming content. So that's something that we really appreciate, and we sort of are happy that we've been part of this journey through Glyphic. And also we're now trying to understand in terms of getting the voices. So we have received multiple testimonials in terms of how these women have been able to learn.
हमारी मल्टीप्लाई व्हाट्सएप कम्युनिटी की महिलाएं हमें वॉइस नोट्स भेज रही हैं। चलिए सुनते हैं।
सोनिया जी, आपको मल्टीप्लाई के व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में जुड़ के कैसा लगा?
गुड मॉर्निंग। मल्टीप्लाई से मुझे जुड़ के बहुत अच्छा लगा, और जैसे कि आप तो जिस तरीके से आप वीडियो बनाते हैं और जो भी टिप्स देते हैं वो अच्छी होती है, और अगर कोई काम करना चाहे तो उसके लिए ये टिप्स जो भी आप लोग वीडियो बना के देते हैं वो हेल्पफुल है। फिर उसके बाद जो आप लोग क्वेश्चन आंसर रखते हैं, टॉपिक देते हैं, क्वेश्चन देते हैं कि मतलब ये हम सॉल्व करें, तो वो सबसे अच्छा लगा मुझे। तो इसके लिए मल्टीप्लाई को मैं सच में दिल से थैंक यू कहूंगी। थैंक यू सो मच।
आप भी जुड़िए हमारे साथ और शेयर कीजिए अपने और अपने बिजनेस के बारे में। और हाँ, अपना फीडबैक वॉइस नोट्स या वीडियो नोट्स से जरूर भेजिए।
The engagement has been great. We've got really good feedback and a few success stories. I wouldn't say that we've been able to transform women's lives, but yeah, we're on the right path.
Wonderful. And transformation anyways takes time, and the space you're in, the financial education and inclusion part of it, it actually is a very tricky one. And like you clearly pointed out, there's been learnings in terms of what time do they view the content at, or what sort of content they're more leveraging in terms of on WhatsApp or in their daily lives as well, is something of a learning curve for the foundation itself, because a lot of NGOs or these education related interventions go with a straightforward mind of this is the content I want to push out, this is what I want them to learn. But
Yeah.
miss out on the point that for change to happen in behavior, it'll have to come from within the person wanting to actually use that content, which will also happen when it's a two-way communication. You tell them, hey, this is the content I have, and then they tell you that this is what I actually specifically require. And I think that's where you're leveraging WhatsApp pretty beautifully in terms of getting those data points, getting those time specific questions, chats in terms of analyzing all of that. Which brings me to the last question in terms of having now created this material and content, then pushing it through different mediums and understanding what works for you, and also having had these learnings from on-ground beneficiaries who are actually leveraging it now. Not a great number, of course, it's just the starting of it. But going forward, what's the vision like to make sure that it becomes more meaningful? It reaches out to more women who are in requirement of it, and probably male counterparts as well, because again,
Yeah.
they'd also want to enjoy some of this content. So what's the future plan like for Creador Foundation?
So our future plan in two ways, right? One is a larger outreach. I mean, we are targeting somewhere like onboarding 300 to 400,000 women on WhatsApp, where they can actually learn on a regular basis. Currently, they do watch our upcoming content and latest content on social media, but on as I mentioned on WhatsApp, it's more one-to-one engagement. We get to know more about what our audience are enjoying or liking and how it's impacting them. The second is also creating personalized journeys using AI. So again, something that I would say, Cliffic and Project for Tech for Dev is doing a very great job in helping nonprofits like ours in understanding how you can use the AI assistants that are already integrated in the back end. And there's also an upcoming AI cohort program, which we hope to be part of. The idea for us is to, figure out if we can gamify the whole learning journey with some nudges, and we're able to, share some quizzes, track the learning progress of these women. So in a way, you're incorporating the monitoring and evaluation metrics into the whole WhatsApp journeys itself, and actually understand whether the women are leveling up, in their learning journey and are able to actually, implement them in their businesses. So yeah, for us, two big things, which is reaching out to more number of people, onboarding them, and also how we can leverage AI and create more personalized journeys for our audience.
Perfect. And with that, I think it's the end of our conversation. But my best wishes to Creador Foundation and you, Surya, to get to that 200,000 women as soon as possible, because I am pretty sure they require it much more than they actually understand. So thank you so much for having this conversation with me. And yeah, best of luck.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.